Welcome to another episode of African indigenous groups or communities, and today we are going to talk about the Congo PYGMIES. The African PYGMIES, or the Central African Foragers or Forest People of Central Africa, are a group of ethnicities native to Central Africa, mostly the Congo Basin, traditionally subsisting on a forager and hunter-gatherer lifestyle. They are divided into three geographic groups, namely the Western Babenga or Benga, which includes the Cameroon, Gabon, Republic of the Congo, and Central African Republic. The second group is the Eastern Bambuti or Mbuti of the Congo Basin, TLC. The third geographic group is the Central and Southern Batwa or Toa, which consists of Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, Angola, and Namibia. The African PYGMIES are named so, notable for their short stature. They are assumed to be descended from the original Middle Stone Age expansion of anatomically modern humans to Central Africa, albeit substantially affected by later migrations from West Africa. From their first appearance in the historical record in the 19th century, limited to a comparatively small area within Central Africa, greatly decimated by the prehistoric Bantu expansion, and to the present-day time, widely affected by the enslavement at the hands of neighboring Bantu, Ubangian, and Central Sudanic groups. Most contemporary PYGMI groups are only partially foragers and partially trade with neighboring farmers to acquire cultivated foods and other material items. No groups lives deep in the forest without access to agricultural products. A total number of 900,000 PYGMIES were estimated to be living in the Central African forests in 2016, about 60% of this number in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This number does not include the southern Twa populations because they live outside the Central Africa forest environment, partly in open swamp or desert environments. In the Republic of Congo, where PYGMIES are estimated to make up 1.2 and 10% of the population, many PYGMIES live as slaves to Bantu masters. The nation is deeply stratified between these two major ethnic groups. The PYGMIE slaves belong from birth to their Bantu masters in a relationship that the Bantus call a time-honored tradition. Even though the PYGMIES are responsible for much of the hunting, fishing, and manual labor in jungle villages, PYGMIES and Bantus, alike say PYGMIES are often paid at the master's whim, in cigarettes, used clothing, or even nothing at all. As a result of pressure from the UNICEF and human rights activists, a law that would grant special protection to the PYGMI people is awaiting a vote by the Congo Parliament. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, during the Ituri conflict, Ugandan-backed rebel groups were accused by the UN of enslaving Butis to prospect for minerals and forage for forest food, with those returning empty-handed being killed and eaten. The African PYGMIES are particularly known for their vocal music, usually characterized by dense contrapuntal improvisation. According to Simha Arom, the level of polyphonic complexity of PYGMI music was reached in Europe in the 14th century. Yet PYGMI culture is unwritten and ancient, some PYGMI groups being the first known cultures in some areas of Africa. Music permeates daily life with songs for entertainment, special events, and communal activities. This is how polyphonic music sounds like. The PYGMI people are known to use an instrument called the ndehu, which is a bamboo flute. The ndehu only produces a single sound. However, the person using this instrument would hold their breath and inhale, making high-pitched sounds. This allows the individual to make polyrhythmic music using a one-note instrument. Along with the different sounds of the breath and the ndehu, the musician may also stomp their feet or tap on their chest to add even more dimension and complexity to their music. The ndehu was popularized by Francis Baby, a Cameroonian musical artist. This is how the bamboo flute looks like. It's so interesting.
It's a bamboo flute playing only one note. That's the only note you can get out of that flute. But the pygmies, who are the inventors of this flute, are clever people. The pygmies have invented a fabulous musical technique or instrumental technique, which consists in having a conversation with their own instrument. You ask the flute to speak to you, and the flute says something like, and you reply to the flute by saying,
Polyphonic music is found among the Aka, Baka, and the Mbuti, but not among the Giele, Kola, or the various groups of Twa. Historically, the Pygmy community have always been viewed as inferior by both the village-dwelling Bantu tribes and the colonial authorities. This has translated into systematic discrimination. One early example was the capture of Pygmy children under the auspices of the Belgian colonial authorities, who exported Pygmy children to zoos throughout Europe, including the World's Fair in the United States in 1907. Pygmies are often evicted from their land and given the lowest paying jobs. At a state level, Pygmies are not considered citizens by most African states and are refused identity cards, deeds to land, healthcare, and educational access. Since poverty has become very prevalent in Pygmy communities, sexual exploitation of indigenous women has become a common practice. Commercial sex has been bolstered by logging, which often places large groups of male laborers in camps, which are set in close contact with the Pygmy communities. Human rights groups have also reported widespread sexual abuse of indigenous women in the conflict-ridden Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Despite this risk, Pygmy populations generally have poor access to health services and information about HIV. One British medical journal, The Lancet, published a review showing that Pygmy populations often had less access to healthcare than neighboring communities. According to the report, even where healthcare facilities exist, many Pygmies do not use them because they cannot pay for consultations and medicines. They do not have the documents and identity cards needed to travel or obtain hospital treatment, and they are subjected to humiliating and discriminatory treatment. There are roughly 500,000 Pygmies remaining in the rainforest of Central Africa. This population is rapidly decreasing as poverty, intermarriage with Bantu peoples, westernization, and deforestation gradually destroy their way of life and culture. The greatest environmental problem the Pygmies face is the loss of their traditional homeland, the tropical forest of Central Africa. In countries such as Cameroon, Gabon, Central African Republic, and the Republic of Congo, this is due to deforestation and the desire of several governments in Central Africa to evict the Pygmies from the forest habitat in order to profit from the sale of hardwood and the resettlement of farmers into the cleared land. In some cases, such as in Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, this conflict is violent. Certain groups, such as the Hutus of the Interahamwe, wish to eliminate the Pygmy and take the resources of the forest as a military conquest, using the resources of the forest for military as well as economic development. Since the Pygmies rely on the forest for their physical as well as cultural survival, as these forests disappear, so do the Pygmy. As I conclude, I really feel bad for the Pygmies for the discrimination they face, not just from the colonial masters, but from their own people with melanin, melanated skin. Like really, I hope they get the justice they deserve, and I hope you've learned something today. What community would you like me to do next? Thank you so much for watching to this end. Do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe and share. Thank you.